Hello everyone. How are you all doing? Just imagine, what if one day a situation comes where 99% of the world's population is wiped out, and only 1% survives, struggling to stay alive while fighting terrifying zombies roaming the earth? Well, today's movie is exactly based on such a concept. The film is I Am Legend. This movie takes us to a future world built on that very idea. So, without wasting any more time, let's dive right in. At the very beginning of the movie, we see Dr. Crippen being interviewed on a TV news program about her groundbreaking discovery. She explains that by genetically altering the measles virus, she has managed to reprogram it in such a way that it directly targets cancer cells. And so far, every single patient who has undergone this treatment has been completely cured. But the real story begins 3 years later. By then, New York City has turned into a lifeless, abandoned wasteland. The once busy streets and towering skyscrapers are now covered in wild grass. Highways are jammed with abandoned cars, standing like silent reminders of a world that's gone. It feels as if the end of humanity has already arrived. We then see Robert Neville driving through the deserted city with his dog Sam. Suddenly, a herd of deer leaps across the road, almost causing him to crash. Robert quickly chases after them. It's clear he's hunting. He aims his gun at the deer, but they sprint away and disappear into a blocked-off street filled with wrecked cars. Robert follows them on foot, and just as he spots one of the deer, a lion, escaped from the New York City Zoo, pounces first and takes down the prey. The lion's entire family is there, forcing Robert to pause and decide whether to shoot or let them eat in peace. Meanwhile, the sun begins to set, and Robert's watch alarm goes off. Next, we see Robert's home. From the outside, it looks like an ordinary American suburban house, but inside, it feels more like a fortress in the middle of a war zone. To hide his scent from the infected creatures, he pours bleach on the stairs. As night falls, Robert and Sam follow their usual routine, eating processed food and watching old TV recordings. After taking a shower, Robert seals the entire house with heavy steel shutters on every door and window. Finally, he grabs his rifle and lies down in the bathtub with Sam. Outside, the city is filled with terrifying screams and strange noises echoing through the night. While these horrifying sounds surround the house, Robert dreams. In his dream, Sam is just a little puppy, and he sees his wife Zoe, his daughter Molly, and the rest of his family trying to escape New York. Wearing hizzy to help stop the virus, because he was a military doctor. To comfort Molly, thick. Wearing his army uniform, Robert had chosen to stay behind in the city to help stop the virus, because he was a military doctor. To comfort Molly, they told her that they were only going on a vacation. Suddenly, Robert wakes up from the dream, returning to his lonely, grim reality. The next morning, Robert spends some time working out before heading down to his basement. There, we see a small but fully equipped modern laboratory. This is where he's been experimenting, desperately trying to find a vaccine against the virus that wiped out nearly all of humanity. He runs countless tests, one after another, hoping to discover something effective. At this point, we see him testing on mice. Out of all the samples, only one mouse shows some promise, while the others turn extremely violent and aggressive. Noticing this, Robert realizes that this particular formula may finally be ready to test on humans. Later, he tries to maintain some sense of normalcy. To cope with his crushing loneliness, Robert heads to a video rental store, where he has arranged mannequins all around the place. He talks to them as if they were real people, and we understand that this is his way of keeping himself sane. In another scene, while collecting corn from a field, Robert makes a light-hearted promise to Sam that he'll talk to one of the mannequins tomorrow. It's a heartbreaking way to see how badly he craves human connection. Later on, while scavenging through nearby condos for supplies, he discovers a bedroom with a bed covered in plastic. In another room, he finds 2 tiny cribs for children. The sight instantly fills his eyes with sadness, as he deeply feels the pain of those who lost their loved ones to the virus. Robert has also set up a constant radio broadcast that goes out across the frequency. In it, he announces that he's still alive, and that every day at noon, he waits at the docks for any survivors who might be listening. He hopes someone will hear the message and come to meet him, but no one ever does. One day, while Robert is at a deserted military airfield playing golf to pass the time, Sam suddenly spots a deer. Both Robert and Sam chase after it, and the deer runs into the lower floor of an old, crumbling building. Sam darts inside after it. Robert desperately tries to stop him, but Sam doesn't come back out. Left with no choice, Robert enters the building to rescue his only companion, because without Sam, survival would be meaningless for him. He knows the place could be crawling with Darkseekers, so he carefully moves forward in the pitch-black corridors. He's silent, cautious, aware that these creatures react instantly to light and sound. Covering the beam of his flashlight with his hand to hide it, Robert searches nervously. For a moment, he feels a wave of relief when he spots a dead deer, realizing it's not Sam. But then, as he keeps looking, he suddenly stumbles into a room where several Darkseekers are sleeping. Heart pounding, Robert carefully and quietly backs away, trying not to wake them. Robert finally spots Sam hiding behind a table. The dog cautiously steps back, almost as if signaling Robert that someone else is there. Just then, a male Darkseeker suddenly lunges at him. Robert fires instantly, and as the creature bursts out of the shadows, it's killed on the spot. Robert and Sam sprint out of the building, but several more Darkseekers chase after them. Some leap forward to attack, but the moment Robert crashes through a window and lands outside, sunlight hits them. The burning rays scorch their skin, and they collapse, unable to survive in the daylight. A while later, Robert sets up a trap using a vial of blood as bait, carefully attaching it to a tarp mechanism. His plan works. He successfully captures a female Darkseeker. But from a distance, the Darkseeker's leader emerges, roaring furiously at Robert. He tries to step into the sun, but the moment the light touches him, his skin starts burning. Helplessly, he retreats back into the shadows, but not before letting out a chilling scream. Robert drags the captured female Darkseeker back to his lab and injects her with the formula that had once worked on the mice. At first, the results look promising, but soon, her body shuts down, and she appears dead. Using adrenaline, Robert revives her, determined to keep refining his vaccine until he succeeds. That night, Robert dreams again of the past, of the chaotic time when his wife and daughter tried to escape New York as the outbreak spread. People were panicking in the streets, rushing for safety. Robert managed to get his family on a helicopter, and at his daughter's request, he even allowed Sam to come along as a puppy. Just before the helicopter takes off, Robert wakes up from the dream. The next morning, he sets his watch alarm to ring half an hour before sunset, reminding him of the constant race against time. Later, while listening to old news broadcasts, we learn that Dr. Crippen's vaccine had initially cured some patients, but many soon began showing rabies-like symptoms. It becomes clear that no one truly recovered. At noon, Robert goes to the dock again, catches some fish, and chats with Sam as if preparing for a birthday party, trying to keep life normal in his own way. But while driving around the city, he suddenly notices something strange. The mannequins he had carefully arranged earlier have been moved. And there, standing in the middle of the street, is Fred, the mannequin Robert had set up earlier. But now, Fred is placed somewhere else, as if the Darkseekers themselves moved him. Seeing this, Robert screams in rage and confusion. In a split second of mental breakdown, he shoots Fred. Moments later, we realize the horrifying truth. The same kind of trap Robert had set for the Darkseekers the previous day has now been recreated by them, this time for him. Robert is caught in the snare, slammed hard, and knocked unconscious. When he wakes up, his head is bleeding, his alarm is ringing, and the sun is already setting. Darkness is closing in. Sam waits faithfully nearby, watching over him. With sheer determination, Robert manages to free himself from the trap just before the sun disappears completely. But in the struggle, he stumbles and falls onto his own knife, injuring his leg badly. At that exact moment, the Darkseeker leader arrives with a pack of infected dogs. As night falls, they unleash the attack. Sam bravely jumps in, fighting one of the infected dogs head-on, risking everything to protect Robert. Robert somehow manages to crawl back to his car, grabs a gun, and shoots down the infected dogs one by one. But by then, Sam has already been bitten. Robert rushes to pick him up and drives home as fast as he can. He lays Sam gently on a table and desperately injects him with his experimental vaccine. At first, there's a flicker of hope, but soon, Sam's fur begins to fall out, his body trembles, and he snarls viciously, even trying to bite Robert. That's when Robert realizes the vaccine has failed. Holding his beloved companion in his arms, Robert breaks down. With tears streaming, he painfully strangles Sam to stop his suffering. His only friend, his only family, is gone. The moment shatters him completely. Drowning in grief and loneliness, Robert later visits the video store again, talking to the female mannequin as if she were alive. It's clear the isolation is crushing his sanity. Consumed by rage and despair, Robert decides to take the fight directly to the Darkseekers. That night, he drives recklessly through the city streets, straight into hordes of infected. He mows them down with his car, one after another, until he loses control and nearly plunges off a steep drop. The Darkseeker leader appears, ready to finish him off, but just as Robert is about to die, a blinding light suddenly floods the area. Out of nowhere, a woman arrives, rescuing him and fending off the creatures. She manages to pull Robert to safety. As they make their way to escape, she asks for his home address. But Robert, fearing the Darkseekers might discover his safe house, warns her strictly, only come there after dawn. Robert soon loses consciousness. In his unconscious state, he dreams again, haunted by the past. This time, he sees the helicopter carrying his wife and young son as they try to escape New York. But then, another helicopter nearby is suddenly attacked by infected creatures. It collides mid-air with the one carrying his family. In horror, Robert watches as the chopper with his loved ones crashes and explodes. The next morning, Robert wakes up in his own home, confused and disoriented. At first, he panics, not understanding how he got there. But as he moves toward the kitchen, he sees a woman standing there with a young boy. The woman introduces herself. She tells him, "I saw you fighting those creatures last night. I rescued you and brought you back here." We learn that her name is Anna, and the boy is Ethan. They had heard Robert's radio broadcast and came looking for him. Sadly, the rest of their group had been killed by the monsters, leaving only the two of them alive. Anna then reveals her plan. She wants to head north to Vermont, because she has heard that a community of survivors still lives there. But Robert, hardened by years of isolation and despair, shakes his head. There is no such place, he tells her firmly. Still, Anna insists. Meanwhile, Robert takes her to his basement laboratory. Inside, we see the female Darkseeker he had captured earlier, now strapped to the table. Robert injects her with yet another version of his serum, then locks the door behind them to let the experiment run its course. Anna pleads with Robert once again, begging him to come with them to Vermont. But Robert challenges her. How can she be so sure that Vermont is really safe? Anna softly replies, "I just know it in my heart. I believe there are others like us, still alive, still human." But Robert, ever the scientist, counters with harsh reality. He explains, over 588 million people have turned into Darkseekers. 90% of those infected with the KV virus died. Less than 1% of humanity is immune. And you're telling me your heart has a plan? Before Anna can answer, Robert notices something terrifying, an army of Darkseekers gathering outside his house. They suddenly realize the truth. The night Anna rescued Robert, the creatures must have tracked her scent all the way here. Without hesitation, Robert activates every defense system he has. He powers up the floodlights surrounding the house, detonates explosives hidden in his vehicles, and prepares for war. The street explodes into chaos, but it isn't enough. The Darkseekers are too many. Some manage to break through the shutters. One begins tearing through the roof, giving the others away inside. Robert fires his rifle, trying desperately to hold them back, but soon he has no choice. He grabs Anna and Ethan and rushes them down into his basement laboratory. And then, something shocking. Inside the lab, they discover the female Darkseeker Robert had been experimenting on. Incredibly, the serum worked. She is slowly reverting back to her human form. Robert quickly seals the bulletproof glass doors of the lab, trapping them inside for safety. But outside, the leader of the Darkseekers steps forward. He rams violently against the glass again and again. With every blow, a crack begins to spread, shaped almost like a butterfly. Robert's mind flashes back to memories of his daughter. A realization settles in. Maybe this is how it was always meant to end. He takes a syringe filled with the cured Darkseeker's blood and hands it to Anna. "Take Ethan. Hide inside the incinerator. Stay there until dawn," he instructs. Meanwhile, the infected leader continues ramming against the glass, and then, Robert finally understands. The female Darkseeker he had captured, she was the leader's mate. This entire attack wasn't random, it was revenge. The cracks on the glass spread wider. Time is running out. Robert opens a drawer and pulls out a grenade. With one last look at Anna and Ethan, he rushes toward the Darkseekers. A massive explosion follows, obliterating Robert, along with every infected inside the lab. The next scene takes us far away, into the quiet countryside. Anna and Ethan arrive at a heavily fortified settlement, protected by tall steel walls and guarded gates. Inside lives a community of survivors. Anna hands over the syringe. The cure. Robert may not have survived, but his discovery will live on. He became a legend. And with that, today's movie explanation comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing videos like this. Until next time, take care, and goodbye.